Aloha, I'm Delzin Hakias. Thank you for joining Healing with Aloha Podcast. Our podcast brings hope and healing with Aloha. You can find us on anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and various platforms. I'm so grateful today that I have the opportunity to be interviewing Paula Griffith all the way from New York. And, it's just the way that we connected was through Instagram, and just we both are on our own grief journey. And I find that she would be very helpful for other mothers and dads out there that can relate to her. So with further ado, Paula, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Paula Griffith. I reside in Brooklyn, New York, and I am a bereaved mother. So, maybe I can share, my story, and maybe I'll be able to help somebody else in their journey.
Thank you. Um, so what what was what happened? Like what made you become a brave mother? Can you share a little background about your daughter and yourself and your relationship?
Okay, so in August of 2008, um, August 17th to be exact, I was here at home, and my daughter was having an asthma attack apparently, so she came out and she wasn't able to breathe, and no matter what we did, the pump, it wouldn't help, so we called 911, and in the meantime she started to panic, and trying to stop someone from panic and go into panic mode, which really made it worse. It just made the matters worse, her breathing, and she just wouldn't calm down. So, at that time, we just waited and had hope that, she would have lived, and she didn't. So she went on to the hospital, and when we got there, we found out that she was dead on arrival. And so that's how my journey started.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that it wasn't easy for you, and even now, being able to live your life and to carry on, her legacy. What prompted you to go ahead and do your Instagram? But before that, like, is there anything you did for your grief in your grief journey to help you to get through, this time with your daughter? Can you share with our listeners? Um, what did you do to get help for you? Because I know we spoke earlier. Can you share with them what helped you?
Okay, well, what helped me, I decided to go and get professional help because at the time my daughter died, I was pregnant with my younger daughter. And I needed to learn how to cope between trying to be happy and grief at the same time, which was a very difficult task for me. So I had to seek professional help. That was the only thing that got me through that trying time, because being a grieving mom and being a new mom, it was a
Yes.
very hard task, very hard.
Yeah, and then you were also balancing, you had other kids, older kids too. So it wasn't just, you know, your new mom, but you had other kids too. So you're balancing, your grief and, you know, mothering three other children, correct?
Yes, correct. That
Um,
was trying, because even though you feel like you're dying inside, you still have to be there for the other children that you still have. And so it's painful. It's very painful, because even it's like your heart, you just stopped, even though you have other children, but just the loss of one is just a very dramatic effect on you.
yeah, like the ability for you to focus and just like you said, live in the now and today, but then yet, um, you know, it's a traumatic event, and you know, time goes by, but it's still like yesterday.
Yes, definitely. Every day is like yesterday for me. I can remember that day oh too well. She went to Great Adventure Friday, and she was so happy, and the Saturday she was home and she was fiddling her wall because she had some medals, and she put those up on her wall so it could look all nice. And then the next morning, she was gone. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what was the turning point for you that you felt the need to help other parents out there that were grieving? Because you started your Instagram, and I know that you have vision to start a Facebook group. What was it that guided you to do that?
Well, yeah, I started my page actually last year. I set it up and I said, yes, I'm going to start this page. I'm going to go on there. I'm going to help. And then at that time, even though I started the page, I just did nothing with it. But this year I felt compelled. Originally the name was Grieving Moms, the Unbreakable Bond. And then I just changed it to @Grieving Moms. And so each day I try to post something that can uplift somebody with their struggle with the loss of their child. Just moments that like you just never know how it might touch that person's spirit. And so I'm trying now to try to help people to go from grieving to gratitude, because even though you're still grieving, you still need to be grateful for the little things in life. Like you woke up this morning, be grateful that you were breathing the air. So it's just, I just felt compelled to help people, and that's just my spirit now. Like I have to help somebody else. I don't know what my message might do to somebody else for that particular day, and at the same time it helps me as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. We were talking about how this is part of healing. What you're doing is it's healing because you understand what it was like for you to begin your journey, and now you're further along, being able to be a support to others that share the same story as you, in a sense, that it helped bring healing for you.
Yes, definitely.
Is there like one thing that you would recommend someone who just began their journey of grief in the loss of their child?
It's okay to cry. They should cry as often and as long, and do it because you just feel like doing it. It could just be at the spur of the moment. Do it. It really helps a lot to be able to express that, get that feeling out from inside. So just cry as often and as loud as you want. If you want to make all kinds of noise, just do it. It makes you feel better in the end.
I think like sometimes in society we can feel like put that pressure that, oh, if you cry, then you're breaking down and that you're weak. But like we both can agree that it's healthy and it's a healthy outlet for us to free ourselves of our sadness, the
Yes.
emotions that come with grief.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. It helps you cleanse your soul. You feel so much better because just expressing a little bit of tears can relieve a lot of stress from you.
Yeah, and then sometimes you don't even know what it is. Like you don't even have the words to express it, but the 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 tears, um, it's like all your love, and it's everything about you that can come out, and there's no judgment on it. It's just this is where you're at, and you just need this moment.
Yes. And if you don't want to be around anybody, just go in a room, close the door, and you can be in there alone. And, and just, you're doing this for you at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to feel better.
Yeah, no, I agree. Um, do you have another tip that you felt that has been helpful for you?
Well, yeah, allow yourself to grieve, and it's no set time to grieve. For me, I'm still in grief mode.
Mm-hmm.
It's never ending. It's never going to stop. Actually, grieving does become your new normal. You just have to know how to channel it and how to balance it. So take your time with your grief. Don't let anyone rush you. Don't let anyone judge you like, this should be over. no, it's never going to be over. This is just your new norm.
What, in your opinion, this is just your opinion, why do you find that people impose that on people who are grieving, like, get over it, it's been a year, it's been 2 years, whatever? Like, what have you found that people insisting that upon you? Because it takes a lot. Like, there's just some people who are compassionate and soft-hearted, and empaths, that they can feel energy and they can feel, emotions. Why do you feel that for some people, because I'm sure there's some, you see it, what have you identified? Is it just because they're not willing to go there with their own grief, or they just...
Well, for me, someone actually did say that to me, like, you should just get over it. And I was very appalled by it. I was like, you cannot tell me how long to grieve, because you don't know what it feels to lose a child. You understand what I'm saying? And losing a child is not like losing your parent or your best friend. It's your child that you gave birth for. For me, because as a bereaved mother, I carried that child for 9 months, and I loved and I nurtured her. So, and afterwards, we were just like, that was my little girl, because she was my first daughter. And it was nothing anybody could tell me. So when I lost her, it was a lot for me to deal with. Like, why did this happen? Then you start feeling like, did she know that I loved her this much? Did she know that, I would have done anything for her? And so you leave with those feelings, because, even her last Christmas when she was alive, it really wasn't the best Christmas. She didn't do what she was supposed to do, and schoolwork. And so her last Christmas for me was miserable. So now I have a problem, Christmas, even with my new daughter, that I really don't celebrate it, because I always look back at the last Christmas that she had. So when someone says that to me, I tell them, let mind your business, and you worry about you, and let me worry about me. I grieve how long? If I'm grieving forever, that's my problem. Don't you worry about it.
Right.
They just don't understand.
Yeah. And I think it's important for you guys to listen to what she's sharing, that just because other people don't want us to grieve and to process it, because that's not how they deal with their own grief, or maybe they haven't lost someone that they love. It doesn't, we shouldn't have to be like modifying ourselves to make people feel less, like, some people just can't relate, and we shouldn't have to adapt ourselves to make other people feel better, when this is the grief that we carry. It's our journey, and
exactly,
our journey is going to look different. And when you're connected to someone you love, it's going to be able to be processed. And as long as you're able to identify what works for you in your grief journey, that's key.
that's definitely the key.
Yes. How have you been able to connect with others through your Instagram, that you feel like, wow, like, I'm so thankful I did this?
Yes, and it was about 2 ladies reached out to me, in reference to them feeling from the loss of their kid, and they deal with theirs differently. That one lady, she's just not able. She's feeling stuck, with it. The next one, she doesn't want to go on social media and put herself out there anymore, so she'll just post flowers or something like that. And that's understandable. For me, it was a little bit different. I know deep down the way my daughter was, because she was a bubbly little girl, so she wouldn't want me to be sad and just broken up, because I still have the other 3 kids that I have to deal with. Well, they're men now, men and a little lady. But nonetheless, she wouldn't want me to be here crying, and I honor her in different ways. Like right now, my way of dealing with, I wear her around my neck on a chain. So this
Yes,
is my little
that's
memorial.
beautiful.
So I keep her close to my heart all the time. And, I did things that to know for myself that I kept my promise to her. Before she passed, I didn't have my degree. And she was like, "Oh, get your degree." And so I fulfilled that promise to her. So
Yeah.
I do little things that I know that she would have wanted me to do. So I just continue with life, even though I'm still in grief mode, but you still have to try to move on and do things that would still kind of make you happy in the interim, because your life, like I said, is forever changed.
Yes. And, like we were talking earlier, that everybody's gonna pace themselves differently. You're just being vulnerable and providing an avenue for people on Instagram so that they can see these are ways that they could
Right.
integrate into their grief, not imposing this is the only way, but this is, perspective you can consider with dealing with your grief, with the loss of your child.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it took a while for me to get to this place in my life,
Yes.
because she passed 12 years ago. But it's like you have to move on, because you literally feel like you're dying inside. There's
Hmm.
still a part of me that feels that way, but I can't. I just can't allow myself to go there. And for each person, it is different. The way they tend to grieve. I just chose not to do that. I continue to go places. I like to turn up a little bit. So, me and my girlfriend, we would go out from time to time and do a little bit of dancing, because
Yes.
dancing for me is everything. So I like to move around. So it puts me in a little happy place for that moment. But
Yes.
you're like you said, everybody grieves differently.
Hmm. And it's important, like, just it's empowering to let people know that there is no pressure for you to be at a certain place in time, because like for me, my sister, it was like 19 years ago that she died next month. And I I view it in a different light than when it happened, because it happened unexpectedly. So I'm really grateful for you to share your story. Um, so can you let them know what you're working towards, and that if they follow you on Instagram, that you're going to be able to like let them know there's going to be a Facebook group. It's not ready yet, but can you share a little bit about what you're about to do?
Well, yes. So I'm a grief to gratitude coach. So I have two Instagram pages actually, but I mostly stay on at Grieving Moms. I also have my other page, which is at Paula P. Griffith on Instagram as well. And I am starting a Facebook group for moms or parents. I'm not biased, because at the same time, a father feels the same loss as the mother. So that group will be open to men and women. And so that is called Grieving Moms, Weathering the Storm of Loss Together. And so I have a page on Facebook right now. But like I said, I'm still working on fixing up the group. So,
Okay.
getting the materials together to help people through their grief. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, and that'll be good. Not everybody's on Instagram,
Correct.
and not everybody's on Facebook. And so it's great that you're providing like two ways of people being in contact with you, and your desire just to help lighten their load, in this moment in time. Um, so is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yes, just if they don't feel like they're gonna get over their grief, and they feel like there's no end to it, by any means necessary, they should seek professional help. It does a lot, and like I said, to each his own, but professional help really helps.
Mhm. Thank you. Yes, definitely. Just being open to getting help professionally, or even like they have support groups, grief support groups.
Yes,
That's helpful. Um, if you're spiritual, someone that can counsel you, also is real helpful.
correct. Yes. I've joined a
Well,
couple of Facebook groups as
oh,
well.
yeah, that's uplifting for you. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. Can you just hold on real quick? Thank you everybody for joining Paula and I on the podcast. You can follow us again on anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other platforms. Thank you for your time, and you guys have a beautiful day. Aloha.